Hello, everyone. This is Sidekickjason back with another Q&A. So today we are going to be going over my own series that I've been working on for roughly about 10 years now. So there's lots of questions that were asked about why I decided to do my series, why I chose specific things about it, why I chose to use Tomy trains and whatnot. So we're going to cover all of that. I'm guessing many of you are going to be asking, why am I streaming on this channel rather than on my regular YouTube channel? And the reason behind that is that I plan on actually releasing this Q&A as an edited final version on my actual channel, like I promised initially with the when I announced the Q&A. But this allows me to quickly get the information out to you guys. For those of you who have waited 2 years for me to finally get around to answering your questions, and so this is a way that I can actually, hurry and get this done, get the audio recorded, and that way you guys can see it. You can interact in the chat and whatnot, and then I will later take the whole video and I will edit it down to have a finalized professional version and upload that to my main channel. So this is just kind of a temporary thing for now, but hopefully you guys will enjoy it and we can have some fun here. So let's get started. All right. Bart Simpson and Chase Oliver Suarez asked, "Are you accepting voice acting anytime soon?" So, yes, I will be, but not like I don't have a specified. Um, I don't have specifics for people yet. So this has been a question that I've been asked beyond just the Q&A. People have wanted to participate in my series by voice acting. I know Enterprising Engine 93 has a lot of voice actors in his series, and it's a lot of fun for people in the community to take part and kind of have ownership in the series, being able to be specific characters. And I think that it would be a lot of fun to have that with my channel as well. And what kind of won me over on wanting to have a voice cast rather than just doing it all by myself, because I struggled for the longest time with this, because voice, in the classic series, they had just one narrator. And so I initially was going to just stick with that I would do the narration stuff and be like George Carlin doing that. But when I was doing I kind of played with the idea for quite a while, but when I got to doing my full remake of The Adventure Begins, I did all the voice acting myself. I realized basically that pretty much I just couldn't do it all on my own. Like I just don't have the voice capabilities to take on all these different characters. The quality just isn't quite there, and so I really decided that season 3 will have a voice cast, but I'm not going to announce anything or ask for people to send auditions or anything until I get to a later date that I can actually properly, you know, have stuff happen with that. Trying to think of the wording right now. Yeah, so I'm gonna wait until things are closer to actually being completed, and then I will announce that. I'll actually have I have specific things that I plan on doing where I will have I will have cut up clips that will explain that are from the classic series for what I kind of am expecting the voice actor to sound like, but I will have specific lines that aren't that are original, so that way they have to try and mimic the style but do something new, and that'll be a good way for me to gauge and whatnot. So yeah, I plan on moving to that in the future. Um, so yeah, hopefully we'll be able to have a great voice cast. I think there's going to be a lot of people involved with that, and I'm really excited to see what happens with that. I think there's going to be a great voice cast in the future. I think it'll help expand my series to new heights and bring in a lot of new people. It'll be a lot of fun. LMS Arthur asked, "Can Stepney be given his starring episode in your series?" Yes, Stepney will actually get some prominent spotlight in my own series. So Stepney, the reason why I didn't include him in season 1, or I guess season 2 also, is because I wanted to focus kind of on the main characters in season 1 that are on Sodor, and then in season 2, I wanted to focus on narrow gauge. So season 3 is actually going to include some characters that aren't typically on Sodor, but I want to include. So there's characters like Stepney, Diesel, D261, Airy, Bert. These characters that weren't included in season 1, but are in the TV series season 1 through 5 range will actually be prominently included in season 3. So you'll see that there's a particular reason why Stepney comes back to Sodor, and there's a lot of great things. So I'm excited. I'm not going to reveal too much because I'm really excited for what we've got in store, and I think you guys will really enjoy what's coming with Stepney. So yeah, great episodes with Stepney. He's going to be back, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Bart Simpson asked, can you let Bertram have more speaking roles in your series? Yes, definitely. I plan on doing that in the future. Bertram was just a hard character. He was a bit of a challenge because, he doesn't have literally anything. He's really a blank slate that you can kind of create what you want out of the character because he never spoke in the TV series, doesn't really have much of a personality. All you know is that he's brave and he was called the Old Warrior and whatnot. And so, I had kind of an interpretation back when I was in middle school and high school when I was originally writing season 2 of my series of what Bertram would kind of be like. But I might change that and do something more interesting. I kind of just made it Bertram's quarry was just kind of another quarry there at the on the Skarloey Railway, just like the initial what am I thinking of? Like the Slate Incline. And so it was just kind of an alternate location. And so, yeah, I plan on maybe incorporating more of season 5, Toby's Discovery type things into that, and hopefully give Bertram more light. He does there in season 3 particularly, because I can say this absolutely because it's already filmed, because I filmed it with season 2. Bertram does get like a little backstory flashback thing in one episode, and it's a lot of fun. So he will get more spotlight, but I hope to in the future write more about him. But I also don't want to just like copy the personality that other character or other YouTubers have given him. So that's something I'm going to try and work on in the future, and hopefully, hopefully we'll be able to have more of Bertram speaking in the future. I'm just going to take a quick second and check what's going on in the chat and whatnot. So I will, if I'm not speaking, that's why. So just give me one moment to quickly make sure some things are in order, and let me grab a drink really fast. Okay, sorry about that. So next question. LMS Arthur asked, can you make an episode in your series focused on George? I already did in season 1. There was an episode called Terrence and George, and it was fun including George as the classic character that we know and incorporating him with another classic character, and that was a lot of fun. So I'm excited to actually use George more in the future. And yeah, so I've have, let's see, in season, it's season 4. George does have a spotlight episode in season 4. He might actually have one in season 3. I'm trying to remember. I can say this. He does have one episode with the narrow gauge engines again, and then he has another episode that deals with Duck's branch line. So he for sure has those two. I'd like to use him more in the future, but I haven't gotten around to it. So hopefully I'll have some more stories in the future that will incorporate him. He's just a fun character, a good antagonist and whatnot. So there will be more episodes in the future containing George. Dylan Flores asked, can you make remakes of Thomas and Friends songs using footage from your series? And Yes, I definitely will in the future. If you saw my remake of Journey Beyond Sodor song, The Most Important Thing is Being Friends, that was kind of an example of what I hope to do in the future, where I took that music video that was, the TV series style, and I altered it to match the, well, I made it more like a music video from type of thing. And so I hope to do that in the future. I have intentions to not only remake the episodes of seasons 1 through 4, but also remake the songs too. I've been collecting footage on those as well. It's just a matter of time before I'll have enough footage to properly remake those. But I would love to actually. I mean, the my first exposure to Thomas was the sing along songs and stories, and so I would really love to see the being able for my own series to create more songs and things, well, create songs and have them on my channel as well as kind of part of the season. But it takes a lot of work. I don't have the skill level by any means to be able to actually create, songs like that. But I hope that's something that I can get in the future, hopefully incorporate. I think that would be a lot of fun. I think we'll really enjoy having that. And just kind of and so I think it'll be incorporated in the class. The Shooting Star and Victoria Brown asked, "Can you predict when season 3 is coming?" And sadly, I cannot predict when that's going to actually be released. I can kind of tell you where things are at and give you guys like what's going on and kind of the situation, but I can't really say because I just don't know when an actual release date would potentially be. So let's see. So what's going on with season 3 is I already filmed about 2/3 of season 3, but I also was filming season 3 and season 4 at the same time, and so I've just got a good portion of it remaining. A lot of the stuff that I haven't filmed yet is the stuff that takes place on Duck's branch line, a couple of the yard sets. Most of what I have already filmed is the countryside stuff and a lot of Thomas's branch line, and so there's still a lot that needs to be filmed, and so I can't release any episodes because I'm missing bits and pieces from all of the episodes, and that's kind of the problem that's going on right now. And so I can't say when season 3 will be released until I'm able to finish filming, and then I can kind of have a rough idea of when I'll be able to finish and actually get that published. I'll be able to have a rough estimate of how long it's going to take me to edit the video and animate it and whatnot. So basically, the timeline that I've got going forward is I'm going to graduate college in about a year. And then once I'm done with that, I'm hoping to be able to move into a place or find a space and be able to actually film and be able to finish filming season 3, and then hopefully have be able to get that out as soon as possible. So I don't have any specifics yet because I don't really know what's going to go on in my life after I graduate college this year. I don't know where I'll be working or where I'll go and whatnot. So it's kind of there's a lot up in the air, and I wish I could give you guys answers on that. I mean, you guys, there's so many people who are excited about season 3, and I feel bad that it's taking so long, and I just don't know exactly when. So I should probably change my YouTube banner on my main channel to, instead of saying season 3 coming soon, I should put like season 3 coming eventually or something, because I honestly don't know, and I mean it's there. There's plenty. Like I have tons of footage of it. Like I like posting little teasers of season 3 on Twitter and whatnot, but to actually say when it's going to be released is it's too far out for me to say. There's too many unknown variables right now. So hopefully I can get answers soon, and I can let everyone know, and hopefully get great content out for you guys soon. So yeah. Sifo Andy asked, "Do you consider the CGI adaptations of Tit for Tat, Mike's Whistle, and Useful Railway canon to your series, even though they aren't part of seasons 1 through 5?" And yes, I do actually. That's going to be just kind of a tricky thing that I'm going to incorporate, because I want to include the Arsdale characters because I think that they're fun. There's a lot of potential with them that could be explored, and I think that they're Audrey's characters, and they're very. I mean, they're classic, so I think they fit in even if they aren't quite seasons 1 through 5, because if there hadn't been the physical limitations, I'm pretty sure they would have been included in the earlier Brit would have included them if she could, type of it. And so I plan on including them. I don't know. I mean, my plan is to actually remake all 4 episodes or all 4 stories that are a part of the books in the small railway engines, but then also remake the episodes that were adapted in season 20. And so uh, yeah, so I plan on covering those, and I also want to adapt the stories that in Jock the New Engine, but that it's far down the road. But at that point, like, I don't know exactly which canon my series follows. Does it follow the railway series, or does it follow the TV series? uh, one of them, I don't know, but the characters will exist and they will be in my series. They'll be kind of situated, as they're where they are. But yeah, so it's just, yeah, if you could cut out those episodes from season 20 and throw them into the classic series, then yeah, that's probably how I would view it. But yeah, so like Lost Treasure, all that stuff won't be canon technically in my series. So yeah, probably more in line with the Railway series timeline. All right. Luca Dollar and Steven Garcia 118 asked, do you plan on working on a Thomas special / movie for your series? And I would absolutely love to make a Thomas special in the future. I've got about 2 or 3 ideas that I think make a good Thomas special that would be really fun, especially something that would fit my channel and the fact that I'm very, very classic series like. So something that would be kind of a classic series movie / special, but not going the direction that Magic Railroad was. And so, yeah, I think it'd be really fun. I've got a couple of there's some stories in seasons 3 and 4 and going forward where I've got like a 4-part story where each episode it's kind of like a railway series book where each story they're their own individual ones, but they build on each other and kind of have an overarching plot. There's a couple of those, and so when I was writing those, I realized how fun it would be to kind of make these bigger stories, and I think it'd be really fun to do a special someday. I'm going to first focus on getting my series done and making sure I get the episodes out first. But I eventually would love to absolutely pursue making a special or a movie on my own. So I've got a couple ideas. I'd love to share them, but I'd rather keep them kind of keep my lips sealed on those ones because I think that I will eventually pursue them, and I would hate to see someone try and pursue them ahead of me if I say what they are. So I'm just gonna keep them a secret for now, and hopefully someday I'll get the chance to actually go after those ideas and have the time to be able to create the special. So yeah. The Ghostly Red Engine asked, do you plan on featuring bouncing like in Big World Big Adventures in your 3rd season? No, definitely not. For a number of reasons. One, I don't like bouncing in the TV series anyway. Second, I don't know how on earth I would do that with the toys. That would be extremely difficult. I think I'd have to physically, or I'd have to go in and Photoshop later and like animate them myself, and that would just be such a pain. And I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it really makes a difference on screen to kids and whatnot. And so I just don't think it'd be worth it. So I definitely don't plan on featuring bouncing like that. So yeah. Night Train asked, "Do you plan to incorporate Tugs into your series?" And no, I don't. I have no intentions of incorporating Tugs. As I said in the last Q&A live stream, I've only watched about half of the series of Tugs. I need to finish watching it. I liked it, but it's just my series is seasons 1 through 5 of Thomas. It's very classic, and while Tugs is technically classic in the fact that it was made by a lot of the same people, it just it wasn't part of my childhood. It just doesn't fit the world of Thomas that I knew growing up, and I just don't think it would be appropriate to include them. I might like just for fun throw little references like on station buildings and stuff, have like posters of Tugs and whatnot. I think that'd be kind of fun little references or hints here and there. But yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at on that. I just don't think that to do with it, and I think it would just get overly complicated in trying to understand my series and whatnot. Okay. LMS Arthur asked, "Do you think you will make locations specifically for your series?" And yes, I definitely will. There's a couple of sets that in season 1 and 2 that I did that were like my own original ideas. But I going forward with season 3, I tried to not pursue my own like being creative and coming up with some new locations on Sodor. At least not yet, because I want to. If I can study and recreate the sets of the classic series and the great work that they did there, I think I'll have a better understanding that when I create my own sets, I'll be able to make them to that kind of that standard and that level. And especially once I've created all the different buildings that are in the classic series, then I'll be able to repurpose them and use them and have them at my disposal there to be able to actually create um, a number of various locations. Like one idea that I had was like taking Henry's tunnel and like throwing it in like a yard set. So like you've got this big yard, but then the trains go into the tunnel, and they're like really cool things I could do in the future. But I'm gonna wait to pursue those until I've created all the buildings and I kind of have, I think, a skill level there that I'll be able to do a wide variety of things. Oh, but one okay, before I move to the next question, one actual additional thought I had is I do want to someday pursue some of the Railway series illustration sets and kind of incorporate those, and I think that'll be fun as well. But anyway, so LMS of Arthur also asked, whoever hasn't starred in an episode in your series yet, will you give them their own episode soon? And yes, I definitely will. So as you can see there on the left, Tom Tipper has not starred as a leading role in my series yet, and so I plan on actually. There is an episode in season 3 where Tom Tipper is the main lead character, and I think it's really awesome that what I've done with it. Like as you can see, he's with his mail van, but they're on a flatbed because something happened, and it's really fun. So I plan to every character that's in seasons 1 through 5. I hope to really explore the classic world of Thomas even in more in depth and kind of just bring it back to life and let us see new um, aspects of it and whatnot. And so that's kind of the goal with my series. So definitely those characters will get leads. And whatnot. So there, yeah, Tom Tipper has an episode. There's a couple other ones. I mean, I wrote an episode for Toad that's going to be in season 3 long before he like. I mean, this is back when season like 14 and 15 of the TV series was being released. So like Toad was nowhere near coming back in CGI, and I wrote a story for him because I wanted to have some stories that the Rolling Stock, Annie and Clarabelle have an episode in season 3 where they take the lead as well, and so there's a lot of really good stuff. Um, I wanted to also make sure that I got all of the season 5 characters to have their own a story about each of them because I really wanted to expand the universe with them. And Ari and Bert, they get plenty of stuff to their own in season 3, but there's a couple of other characters in season 5 who do not season 5 the television series who do not get episodes in my season 3, and so eventually so and whatnot. Some what they have taken the focus away from Thomas and focused on the other characters, which I think is great for their series. They do a great job with that. It's just not my a couple episodes per season that'll. So yeah, it's from LMS Arthur. I'm kind of curious. I ordered the questions alphabetically. Um, I'm curious how many of these questions have been like back to back. But anyways, LMS Arthur asked, "How long do you think your series will go until it ends?" And I have no idea how long it's going to go for. I hope it can go on forever. Like, I mean, as long as I'm alive, I hope I can keep doing it and whatnot, and maybe even have episodes scheduled when I'm beyond when I live. So maybe it'll keep going past my own life. It would be fun to be able to keep doing that. I have no intention of ending my series at any point. I plan on, well, if for some reason I know that I would never be able to keep going with Thomas, and it was very much the end, like I just maybe I'm physically not capable of filming anymore, or I can just see the writing on the wall that there's no longer the opportunity to continue pursuing this. I do have an episode I would like to have be the final episode. I won't say anything about it because I love the idea that I have for it, but basically. Yeah, I would want. I kind of have something in mind that if that ever happened, but hopefully I could just kick that idea down the road forever and not have to create a final episode. But I would not make that decision lightly in giving up doing my series because I've even though I've only released 2 seasons so far, I've been working on my own series for about a decade now, for about 10 years, and I mean I've written stories. Obviously, you've seen seasons 1 and 2 published and released on the channel. But seasons like 3, 4, I have stories written for those entirely. You guys just haven't obviously seen them yet because I haven't published them. But I've been working on. I've written tons and tons of stories, and I'm really excited going forward. I've got a great writing team that's been writing some awesome stories, and I think that's just going to make the series better. And so I wouldn't give it up unless there was some very serious, pressing reason why I would need to. So, I mean, obviously, you guys can tell that it takes a while between seasons for me to produce the stuff, and so I mean, I don't plan on ever giving it up unless I have to. Just taking it as that at the pace that I need to, given life circumstances. Oliver GWR asked, if Thomas were to end, would you still be doing your series or work on something else non-Thomas related? Um, so no, I don't think I would stop my series because when I started doing my series, when I started writing my first season, like it was the CGI series just started. We were in the Sharon Miller era. The stories were absolutely awful. Kind of in my mind, the series was already dead to me. Like, I mean, it definitely wasn't the Thomas I knew. And so I did it. I made my own series just because I loved the content. I wanted to do it for that reason alone. And so I wanted to be able to bring something to life like that, be able to enjoy classic Thomas the way I knew it. And so that was kind of my purpose in creating my own series. And so even if Thomas, for some reason, if Thomas kind of dies off, if they stop making new episodes, if they stop selling toys on store shelves and the brand just kind of dies off, I'll still be doing my own thing, whether or not it's popular on the internet or not, because I like doing it. And that's the main drive behind it. So yeah, so even if Thomas is no longer mainstream, no longer popular, I'll still be doing my own thing. And at this point, like I'm pretty content with the fact that I have so many subscribers at this point, having close to 100,000, that even if Thomas dies, like, I'll still have an audience when I release my own content. It may not be as big as what it could have been if Thomas was still alive, but it's fine. The people who want to enjoy Thomas will be able to find my channel and be able to enjoy my content, and that's what matters most to me. So yeah. The Wise Tender Engine 2001 and Brendan Productions asked, if you were to add just one character from the CGI series in your series, who would you choose? I can't name one specifically, but like I can name a couple that I just really liked. Like there were times. So as I mentioned, just that I created my series when the television series was kind of at an all time low, and I made it in the fact of that I wanted to kind of restore in my mind and create something that was like Thomas that I knew as a kid, kind of why I think the TV series should kind of be like. But then as Brenner and his team in recent years has created more seasons and whatnot, and I've almost felt that my purpose in doing my own series was kind of useless in a lot of ways. It was kind of like, oh, like I they do such a great job with it now that like I don't know if I could ever really meet that, like be on that level. Before I used to think like, oh yeah, my stuff's so much better than the Sharon Miller CGI series and stuff. But then having Brenner's stuff, I was like, oh, I don't really think I could top a lot of that stuff. They're just doing. They did such a phenomenal job before Big World Big Adventures and what they were doing. And so obviously now that Big World Big Adventures has come out, it's changed my focus on why I'm still doing my series and whatnot. But during the Brenner era, there was a lot of characters that he was or that they were using that I was kind of like, dang, like I was really tempted at times to like maybe I should make an exception, maybe I should expand my series to kind of be like the TV series in that way. I never gave in though, but I toyed around with the idea a couple times. But the main characters that I would definitely want to include, if I had the choice, would be Paxton. I think he's just a fun character, and Marion. They're like two of my favorites. Their personalities are fun. I love seeing Marion be used in Legend of the Lost Treasure. Like just a fun character, fun personality. So hopefully I can. Well, actually, I won't ever incorporate them in my series, but maybe there'll be ways that I can kind of use bits and pieces of their personalities and other characters, maybe some human characters and whatnot, and so kind of take those ideas and be able to utilize them in my series in one way or another. But yeah, so Paxton, Paxton, Marion. I couldn't think who else I really like. I actually like Philip, so oddly enough, I think I might even include Philip. So yeah, those would be like my three. All right. Dragonzilla and Musical Weirdo asked, if you were to make a new original character, what class would it be and what would you name it? So I don't plan on creating an original character right now. I just don't see, I don't know, like, my series, I've seen too many series where, like, and this was something I decided back when I was initially creating my series, is I had seen too many series on YouTube where people had their collection of trains. They had so many engines that weren't Thomas characters, so they made their own. And so then their series was mostly these other characters with Thomas characters included. And I just, I watched those and I was just like, that just doesn't feel right to me for my own series. And so I've focused more on wanting just to stick with the classics, which is why I've stuck with seasons 1 through 5 and whatnot. So me adding an original character would be a difficult decision for me to make, just because I just don't feel like it's my place to do that, and I feel like it'd be really weird having them appear next to these classic characters. I don't know, but I will say when I was a kid, I did actually create one of my own characters, and it was James. James had a cousin, and his name was John, and it was my cousin and I. When I was at this age, we kind of brainstormed the idea of this character, and he actually drew uh, a picture of this character John for me. And so you had James and John were cousins and whatnot. And there was kind of came up with the story idea that this cousin of James arrives on Sodor, and James begins to worry that he's going to take his place, and so James up and leaves Sodor and whatnot. But then his cousin tracked down and whatnot. But I've never obviously pursued the idea, but it was just a fun idea that I had when I was a kid. I think I was like 5 or 6 at the time. So, if I ever did create an original character for one reason or another, it would probably be that character, just because that's an idea I had as a kid. So it would be fun to see it come forth. Bart Simpson asked, in season 3, are you going to have episodes of Philip, Vinny, Ashima, Diesel 10, and other only seen on clips characters? Okay, I think that's other characters only seen on clips. So I'm guessing what Bart you're referring to is the characters that appeared during my Great Race shorts and during the and kind of during the 2016, 2017 portion when I was a part of the TCC, and I was using for remakes, different things, these different characters that obviously don't appear in my own series. And so, yeah, I can see the confusion where it's like, well, wait, you have all these characters. Um, why don't you People are asking why don't you include the. My wife just walked in. Sorry about that. What asked like why don't you include them in your series? Because obviously you have them in. And so I've just had to, I just stick to my thing. I do have a whole collection that has most of the characters um, from beyond seasons 1 through 5. Like I think my Tomy collection pretty much includes most Tomy characters that have ever been produced. But I just haven't made it an effort to try and collect them all. But yeah, I don't have any plans in my series to include any of these characters in my series, and so I mean, they're nice characters, and I mean, a lot of them are really cool looking and whatnot, but it just doesn't fit my series, and trying to keep up with all the new characters, and especially now trying to keep up with like Big World, Big Adventures, I'm happy very much, defining a certain space and working within that. So yeah, so sorry, those characters will not be appearing. All right, LMS Arthur asked, in your series, can you make an episode where a new engine arrives? Um, Maybe I have. Maybe there's going to be one in season 3. I don't know. You'll just have to wait and see. We'll just have to see what happens there. Maybe I have. Maybe I'm secretly, leading you all astray, and I've actually made an original character that's going to appear in season 3. But I'm just saying that I haven't, so that way it can just be build up the surprise factor years from now when I have that big reveal. I don't know. You'll just have to wait and see. Trainman 476 Productions, LNER 337, and Bart Simpson asked, since the characters you use in your series are based between seasons 1 through 5, do you think you'll make any exceptions? Um, so no, I don't think I will. I mean, other than the Arsdale engines, which I mean, they're Audrey characters. They feel like they fit. Besides them, oh, and Frank and Jock are going to appear in my series as well. Other than those ones, I don't have any plans to make any exceptions. I mean, I maybe would consider making more Railway Series characters part of my series. Okay, so I did have a plan when I was initially coming with my series that I was going to include eventually all the Railway Series characters as well. But then the problem with that I realized, because this was before the 4 series was published, and Christopher Audrey released Tom moves on from the Express, Pippin and take over and whatnot, and like things change, and it's kind of bittersweet because like the Railway series actually Gordon reacts in the book shows obviously the character development and what has happened between of well, it is neat and it's beautiful for the Railway series. It almost felt really timed. Like you could watch episodes out of order. I mean, in the VHS release, they were out of order. They weren't in production order by any seasons and whatnot. And so, like, yeah, you have episodes where characters you don't really notice the. It just has this timeless feel to it all. And so I think having something drastic of stuff like that, that's very, you have a definite moment where either it's before or after that. And so that's kind of my struggle with including more Railway series characters, because then it leads to the question of where in the Railway series does this take place? Because if Pip and Emma are they there as visiting people or visiting engines, or are they there as, is it after the 42nd Railway series book? And so it just kind of leaves a lot of questions there, and I just don't really want to deal with the hassle of them. Plus, I'd have to make customs for them specifically, and so I would rather focus on the characters that I have within the range I've set and really dive in more with them and give them give them really solid stories rather than just trying to include all sorts of different characters and maybe not giving them as good of stories and whatnot. Ready Productions asked, "What can I'm guessing it's what can we expect from season 3 of your series?" You can expect a lot of classic like stories. You can expect to see your favorite friends from the classic series there having adventures just like they did in the classic series, but new adventures that you obviously haven't seen before. You'll get to see characters who haven't interact with each other in the classic series uh, have sometimes their first interaction, some interact with locations and in sets, but you'll get to see kind of a uh, new angle of it. You'll see new places, things, just new stories. You can expect to have, but hopefully that keep the classic feel of Thomas that you know and love from the earlier seasons. So you can expect to see season 5 characters get spotlight. Ari and Bert have a nice multi-part story that I'm really excited about. And yeah, so there's a couple of human characters take the lead in a few episodes, some rolling stock characters. Obviously, the main cast. Sometimes they even have more. A lot of fun stuff. So I'm excited to see season 3 when it eventually. Terry, you asked, "What is your best remake that you have made?" That's tough. I mean, my most popular remake through the Great Race remake. And that one's pretty much my best, really popular. I think The Adventure Begins Crash is pretty good. I also don't know if that one's my best. There's some Great Race stuff. I think a lot of the stuff with the Great Race remakes, I think, is some of my best remake stuff because they were kind of pushing my limits on my skill level, and I had to try a lot of new things, and I think it really helped me improve. So I think those are some of my best. The classic series remakes are a little more tame, but I wouldn't say that I've dipped in quality at all. It's just because the stories and the shots are more just simpler. So yeah, I don't know if I could pick my the best remake I've ever made. But yeah, there's a lot of good ones. I'd say some of the best though are my Great Race song remakes and whatnot. Sodor and American Railroad, Gabriel Moreo and Daniel Alsop asked, "What is your favorite episode from season 1 and 2 of your series?" Okay, I can't remember off the top of my head all of my favorite episodes. So, well, I can't even remember all the episodes on my own. So, I am going to actually pull up the playlist that has the um, all the episodes. That way, I can kind of name through which ones are my favorites from those. Okay, just got the playlist up. Here we go. Okay, so some of my favorites from season 1. I like some of the later ones that I did in season 1 because when I was writing season 1, I mean, one, I would not recommend this, but I basically made every idea that I had. If I came up with my first 30 ideas for stories and I brought them to life, type of a thing. And I would not recommend doing that. I would definitely come up with more than the amount you need and then pick the best from those. So I've definitely learned since then, and I think my stories have definitely improved. Some of my favorites. Don't Be Quick is a good one. It's just a solid Gordon story. Um, let's see. Gordon and the Farmer's Visitor is another good one, which is actually a play on words from the Gordon and the Famous Visitor episode in season 3 of the TV series, because I actually, as a kid, misread famous for farmer. And so, yeah. Anyways, let's see. What's another good one? The Plumber's Express is another one I like. Uh, let's see. Oh, Market Day is one of my favorite ones for sure. I really love the animation I did with the stop motion animation with all the livestock there coming out of Thomas's cattle cars. I thought that was really fun. Races is another great one that I really enjoyed. It was the reason why it's actually really funny. The reason why it wasn't like I try to include all the characters in a good way. I think just like Thomas seeing everyone on Sodor again. I accomplished what I wanted, but I don't think it was as good as it could have. So I definitely would not do that again in the future. What's funny is that season 2 actually contains a lot of my favorite standard gauge episodes that I was filming in season 1. And so some of my best ideas, because what happened is I did my first 30 for season 1 and threw them in and created them. And then all my additional ideas I started kind of playing with and deciding, okay, I wanted to have 13 standard gauge episodes and 17. And so then I had to pick and choose which of the 13 ideas that I had that I was actually going to turn into a story or turn into an episode. And so I think a lot of my better stories season 2 personally. Then when you compare to the quality of the narrow gauge episodes of season 2, they just don't look good. So it's just kind of there. Season 2 episodes that I really quick as it showed a difference because if you be very prideful of their accomplishments. So it's funny how it was able to backfire on him. I know a lot of people were with that because they thought that no, Renee shouldn't have been that station. The Old Warriors, I really like that. One way to include Bertram. It was fun to do that opening sequence with everyone there at the narrow gauge sheds. Duke and Smudger's past pranks is a good one. I wish I would have done more Smudger stuff in season 2. Duke kicks the bucket. I think might be my favorite because I just love the phrase they're kicking that Duke kicks the bucket because I know people are like, oh my gosh, no, Duke can't die, but it's actually just a funny joke. I love the 3-part story that I did with Rusty there, with Dusty, Rusty, Peter Sam's Patience, and Diesel of the Railway. Yeah, so many good ones. Again, like I've said so many times in this Q&A, these live streams, that like I can't pick like one favorite thing. I just have a hard time. Some of my favorites, but yeah, Thomas. Again, this is hard. So I mean, I've just barely named off a bunch of episodes that I really enjoyed from my own series. So I think that those good. I think my drastically improved over the years. I feel kind of bad because it took so many years to produce the content that I don't think people realize how young I was when I was creating or writing the stories. Like, I think when you watch my seasons 1 and 2 of my series and you compare it to the Brenner era, it's kind of like, oh, I mean, yeah, they're pretty good stories like that. I wouldn't call them great, but then if you look at the fact that I was writing these stories, one, I was in 8th and 9th grade, so I think writing is drastically improved just over age. But I was writing, during seasons 13 and 14 of the TV series when I mean, I didn't have a lot of great stuff to refer to current like stuff. I say it's a series to go back. I didn't have the inspiration of Brenner's era and what, and so I think given the fact that I was just, you know, what the TV series at the time, I feel considering, but I feel like my writing has just gotten better um, over the years, and I've had a lot of fun. So season 3 and 4 have been completely written out, and I haven't shared those stories publicly. I want to keep them under wraps because obviously they're the first things you guys are going to see once I finally finish and publish them, and so I want to hold off on that. But stories for seasons 5 and beyond, I've actually at least for my own stuff, because obviously I have the writing team, and I let the writing team decide on their own if they want to share their stories or not. They can keep them under wraps if they decide. But I've had fun with my stories that are obviously not going to appear for a way long time. Publishing those, and you guys have probably seen the little videos I have where it's just a single uh, picture where the faces are animated and whatnot, which has been a fun way for me to improve my face animation skills. And then it has a link to the actual text of the story that I've written. And I've had a lot of fun with those. Rex the Butterfly and is one of my favorite stories that I've written. I think it's going to be one of my like all-time favorites once I actually am able to adapt it. I don't want to name any of the season 3 episodes, but there's a lot of really good ones there. I want to keep those under wraps with their titles and whatnot. So I'll just leave those a secret. But yeah, I think that there's some really good ones that I've done, and I have some great ideas that I'm hoping to pursue within the coming year for story ideas, and I hope to publish those just the same way I have with the little animation and whatnot, because I think you guys will really enjoy those, and it'll be fun to see it. So even though I can't get out full remake or full complete episodes for my series, at least this is some way to show you guys, at least that you can see that like I am very passionate about what I do, and that I want to be able to create original content ultimately. And so hopefully be patient with me and understanding why there's these limitations that I have of being able to get my content out there. But I mean, I do it because I love it and it's fun, and I enjoy writing the series and bringing the stories to life. So yeah. All right. Toy Bonnie 19 and Jonathan. Uh, I don't know how to say that last name. Ijama. I'm sorry if I butchered your last name. Both of them asked, what part do you have the most fun in making your episodes? Um, there's a lot of different parts that I really do enjoy creating. I enjoy writing the stories. I think that might be my favorite part. Um, I think the second favorite part would actually be filming it, building the physical sets, seeing it in real life. It's a little pain and tedious at times to obviously be moving the engines and whatnot. But those I think would be my favorite parts. I'm not a fan of, you know, having to create the shot lists. I don't like editing the stories. Like, you have to do it, but it's not. I wouldn't call them really fun. It's fun to see the final product, obviously, but like it's kind of you have to go through the grind with it all. Um, Animating is probably my least favorite part. It's just an absolute pain um, to do that. So I really don't like that. Music is something that I'm gonna just try and outsource in the future and get other Thomas YouTubers or other people in the community who are better with music, and get them to help in that way, because I feel like I just don't have the skill level, and it would take so much for me to be able to learn that. So hopefully in the future I can have them help and be able to reach that high quality, but that way I don't have to invest all the time in learning it myself. So yeah, probably writing and filming would be my two favorite things. Um, Champ Tuesday asked, when will Duke tell Rusty why Smudger was turned into a generator? I've been asked this question a lot. I was like extremely over the top surprised at the reaction that I received with this, because what happened was I created that little fun mini plot thing, or mentioned that season uh, season 2 of my series, and I held off on revealing the answer because I wanted to include it later in a season 3 episode. And actually, okay, I guess I'll reveal this. It may be revealed in the season 3 finale episode, but you'll have to wait and see what happens. But I was like, I mean, I included it as a little fun thing, and more for my own thing to kind of have continuity within the series. But it was funny how once that episode was released, how many fans have like continually asked, well, like, when's Rusty going to find out? When's Duke going to tell the story? Like, continually asking about that. And so it's fun because since that is going to be mentioned later in my series, I'm excited for people to finally see the answer. And I'm really happy with the plot that I came up with for Smudger, as to why he got turned into a generator. I think it's fun taking it kind of beyond not just Duke's story, but there was more of a reason why. Like what did Smudger specifically do to get him turned into a generator? What was kind of the last straw with it? And so I had a lot of fun with that, and I'm excited for people to be able to see it. I think they'll really enjoy the story. Tyler Kane asked, when you started the series, what was the thought process of planning, designing, building, and creating your island of Sodor? Obviously, my island of Sodor, I wanted to uh, base it around the classic series that I grew up with. Basically, I wanted to recreate and bring back in toy form the Thomas world that I had seen as a kid, because I grew up at the right at the about the time that as Thomas started to decline in quality was also as when I got older as well, and so it kind of outgrew it as Thomas got worse and worse in some ways. And so, you know, I want like when I was creating my island of Sodor, I really wanted to capture the vision and the feelings that I had as a child, seeing season 1 through 4 episodes intertwined with one another, and having the aesthetics and kind of the magic wonder of Sodor just being this vast island with so much potential, so much in some ways mystery to it, but like just so much to see and do. And so I really wanted to do that when I was creating my island of Sodor. Um, I feel like in some ways the world is a little not the world as I've gotten older and as I've studied more about like learning about the island of Sodor and obviously seeing like the map of the island of Sodor and whatnot, like it made me realize how in some ways it's a little more fun to keep the childlike wonder and not learn about those things, because looking at like the island of Sodor map, it's like, oh, okay, well, Thomas obviously has to pass through this and this to get to this station, and like you start to see like things are supposed to be in a certain order and whatnot, and that's great, and I think having continuity is really good, but it's kind of a I don't know. As a kid, when I was watching Thomas, I thought that the island of Sodor was a big loop. Like the main line was a big loop, and then the branch lines were, they went elsewhere and whatnot. And so, because in the TV series, engines are kind of they're not all over the place, but they kind of they hop around in certain areas and whatnot. And so it made me think that like the island of Sodor had a lot of different tracks that went to different places and whatnot. And but they still had obviously paths that they went because they would pass certain things and whatnot, and so it wasn't as straight lined as what it looks like in the map, and I kind of prefer that because it makes Sodor feel bigger and keeps that wonder, and so I've tried to incorporate that, and some of those continuity errors like the fact that Farquhar Sheds is at Tidmouth Station, like I'm keeping that in my series just because that's the TV series, even though like the Railway series may show otherwise. All right. Um, let's see. My throat is getting really scratchy, so I think I might call this the last question. Um, LMS Arthur, Paul the Railway Fan, and Night Train asked, which episodes from your series do you like the most, and which do you think could have used some improvement? So I already went through and talked about which episodes I like the most, but so I'm going to go through specifically which ones I think could have been improved, and some things that if I were going to do it now, what I would have done differently. Um, okay, let me pull up the list of episodes again. All right, so in season 1, the first 4 episodes that I did that were filmed in my garage on like a big layout, I would have definitely redone those. I think some of the stories were very basic. Um, I think it's funny that I had an episode called Toby's New Coach, and then in season 21 we got Hasty Hannah, which is similar in a lot of ways, which is hilarious because my story came out. I mean, I released the video in like 2013, but I'd actually filmed the story back in like 2010. So just interesting to see how, like, I guess great minds think alike when it comes to the TV series. Um, let's see. Bill and the Coaches was one that I think could have been improved in some ways. I like the idea of Bill having to pull coaches, or Bill and Ben having to pull coaches and having a tough time with it, but I think some of the writing was a little clunky in the situation, the reasoning. Boko and the Guard, I think I could have done a better job at making it different than Thomas and the Conductor, but yeah. Let's see. Things in Water, that's a funny. What was so funny about that is I feel like, I mean, it's probably not a very strong story in the fact that it comes something in the air and Percy takes the plunge. But I wanted to come up with a funny title for it to talk about how, Duck is named Duck, and Duck, like, if he's going to crash into the water, that's funny. And so I wrote, I named it Things in Water, but I should have named it Duck in the Water, which ended up being a season episode. Yeah, when they released that, I was like, oh, that would have been a better name. But oh well, it was too late at that point. Um, Pride of Sodor, I think, could have definitely been improved. It focused too much on Thomas meeting all the characters and kind of seeing them one last time rather than actually being a good story. Um, in season 2, I wish I would have. I should have released the standard gauge episodes as their own season. They're like a mini season, and then release the narrow gauge episodes later, so that way they. I feel like while there are some great stories in season 2, because they're in the older season 1 style, they kind of just get forgotten and people don't really pay as much attention to them, which is a shame. Yeah, let's see. I think Trevor's Lorry problem is one of the weakest stories I have. Um, let's see. Busiest on Sodor, it's okay. It's done poor view wise than I think. Like, it's not like a terrible story, so I was kind of, but it's done pretty poor with these. It might be because Harold's in the thumbnail, and Harold might not be a super popular character for thumbnails and whatnot. Edward and the Twins was an episode that I would probably, if I got rid of one episode, it would be that one, just because it wasn't just a strong plot. I think there's a question later that asks about that, but I'll talk more about that later. Um, yeah, I think Mail Run. Well, no, actually, Henry's Special Delivery is probably the weakest of the Snowy stories, just because it felt very much like a Sharon Miller episode, but that's because that's the stage of you where the TV show currently was at that time, and so that's why a lot of it was like that. Yeah, I think that those would be some improvements. Um, yeah, I think that some of them, obviously going back, I could always improve them. The video quality could have been improved as well, but I don't ever have any plans to go back and remake my own episodes. I know that some YouTubers have done that. They've gone back years later when they're obviously their visual quality is improved, and they've gone and redone some of their original episodes because they liked them. And I could do that, but I don't want to, because I want, especially like younger YouTubers who are wanting to create their own content in the future. I want them to be able to go back and see my original stuff and see how I've evolved and changed, because I want them to realize that they can do that too. And obviously, like, I didn't just create the quality of content that I have now in one day. Like, it didn't just suddenly come together. Like, this took years of improving and evolving. And so having that they can see where it started out and kind of how things have been improved and built on in the future, I think is going to be really nice. So yeah. All right, well, we'll call it quits for today. Thank you guys for watching. It's been a pleasure to go through this Q&A with you guys. Hopefully tomorrow I'll answer some more, and I'll keep flying through all these questions as fast as I can and be able to hopefully answer them and get you guys the answers you're looking for. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys later.